You're listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I'm your host Nina, a mindful parenting coach and mum, here to help you go from overwhelmed and reactive to calm, confident and connected with your kids. This show is for parents who want to raise their children with more patience, less stress and a whole lot more joy. Because small shifts make a big impact and you can build the parenting life you've always wanted. If you want to see what I'm up to, follow me on Instagram at Mindful Parenting Lifestyle, and don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's get started. Welcome back, lovely listener. This is part 2 of a 2-part series on overcoming overwhelm. Last episode, we went inward, looking at the overwhelm that starts within ourselves, how we relate to chores, and how we think about me time. Today, we're going outward to our children, our family, and our home. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, it's worth going back to first, since today's picks up right where it left off. So, it tends to come in from a few directions at once, doesn't it? A hard moment with one child, a flare-up between siblings, the sense that the house and the calendar are both a step ahead of you. None of that means you're doing anything wrong. It's just what happens when a lot of people and a lot of moving parts are sharing the same days. I'm going to be talking about the same 2 threads running underneath everything today, which I talked about last episode. The first is mindfulness, choosing to focus on the present moment with kindness and curiosity. And then heartfulness, the gratitude, generosity, and compassion that gives mindfulness its warmth. So, once you've found a bit more room within yourself, the next layer is our children. And this one is all about meaningful connection. Last episode, when we were talking about me time, I told you about how bedtime has become that space for me and the boys, really being present for the story and the cuddle rather than rushing to the end of the evening. That's connection too, and it's really what this whole section is about. I want to share 4 ways to build it. Some are little tools, some are more of a shift in how you show up. So, the first is physical touch, which matters more than we tend to give it credit for. Family therapist Virginia Satir said we need 4 hugs a day just to survive, 8 to maintain ourselves, and 12 to actually grow. That number alone says something about how much our kids are running on this day to day, probably more than we realise on a busy one. There's heartfulness in it too. A hug is a small moment of warmth for the person in front of you, not just something to tick off on the way past. The second is special time. And this one comes up so often in my work with families that I want to talk you through it properly rather than quickly mention it. Special time is simply a short block of one-on-one time where your child gets your full undivided attention and gets to choose exactly what happens in it. It sounds small, but the effect on kids tends to be bigger than the 10 or 15 minutes would suggest. It tells them, without you having to say it, that they matter enough to have your full attention. No multitasking, no half listening. That sense of being truly seen is what settles kids down. And over time, it tends to mean fewer of those attention-seeking moments through the rest of the day, because the tank's already been filled rather than running on empty. So here's how it works. You announce that special time is happening right now, just the 2 of you. Set a timer. 10 or 15 minutes is plenty. Then let your child lead completely. You follow rather than direct. This isn't the moment for the TV or reading together. It works best as something active that they're leading. So a game, some pretend play, building something. Resist the urge to judge or evaluate what they're doing. This isn't the moment to teach or correct anything. It's the moment to simply be with them. Put your phone away and be fully present. When the timer goes off, special time ends cleanly, so it stays a predictable little container your child can count on, rather than something that drags on or fizzles out. It's a well-known tool in family and play work. I can't take credit for the idea itself, but I've seen how much weight it carries even in just 10 minutes away. Now, it doesn't need to look the same every day either. If you're unable to set aside that time for each child every day, think of other ways that you can have special time. For example, some families could rotate it. One child gets special time today, another tomorrow. Others turn it into something bigger, a proper date out with one parent each week, just the two of them. Whatever makes it easiest to actually keep doing it is the right version. We don't want this becoming one more thing on our to-do list that quietly falls away. And in theory, it's lovely. And with the 3 busy boys in our house, finding a dedicated slot for each of them most days isn't always realistic for us. What's worked better here is treating bedtime as that special time instead. I know I said no reading, but this is what works for us. Making sure each boy gets a proper amount of story, cuddle, and talking without rushing through it to get to the next thing, to the end of the evening, gives us that same one-on-one window without needing to carve out anything extra. And there's gratitude built into it too. I still take a moment most nights before I leave the room to notice something about that particular child. The third one I want to talk about is working together, which builds connection in a way that's easy to underestimate. Rinsing dishes, washing potatoes, feeding the pets, sweeping the floor. These small shared jobs end up doing more for the relationship than you'd expect, simply because you're standing there together, doing something ordinary side by side. And the fourth is verbal encouragement, the specific, heartfelt kind, rather than just a blanket, "Good job." So, thank you for your kindness. I really appreciate how hard you tried for that. Your imagination is awesome. This is heartfulness again, compassion and warmth aimed outward at the people we love most. And something specific and true seems to land differently than praise that could apply to anyone. Okay, let's zoom out to the whole family. And the goal becomes building a culture of cooperation rather than competition between siblings. The one that's made the biggest difference for us is filling each child's cup individually rather than comparing them to each other. It sounds obvious, but it's surprisingly easy to slip into without meaning to, especially on a tired day when you just want everyone to behave the same way at the same time. Sometimes even praise can do it, telling one child how well they packed away their toys in front of a sibling who's still deep in the mess can land as comparison, even though you were only talking to one of them. One tool worth trying is the rose, thorn, and bud at the dinner table. This is where everyone shares something good, something hard, and something they're looking forward to. It's a way for kids to see you reflecting too, a bit of heartfulness right there in the everyday routine. And it's great because you get to open up as well, rather than being the one that has to hold everyone else's feelings. One small thing that's made a real difference for us is language. We talk about ourselves as a team, a let's go team kind of energy when something needs doing or when someone's having a hard day. So whatever we're facing feels like something we're in together, rather than one person's problem to sort out alone. Also, if you see unkindness happen, step in directly rather than letting it slide. Now, if sibling conflict is a live issue in your house, there's a few episodes on this in the show notes that are well worth a listen. The last layer in this conversation is your home and daily life. I want to share 3 ways to bring a bit more ease here in your schedules, your stuff, and your screens. Let's walk through each one because a small change in any of them tends to ripple further than you might think. So the first is schedules. A packed calendar creates its own kind of overwhelm, even when every single thing on it is worthwhile. One shift is protecting some genuinely unscheduled times each week, even just an afternoon where nothing is booked and nobody has to be anywhere. I have a friend who never ever books anything in for Sunday. That's her family time, full stop, and nothing gets to encroach on it. Now, that unscheduled time isn't only about giving yourself a break either. It's usually where the best play happens, the kind that doesn't need us to organise or entertain it. A gap in the day doesn't need something structured in it to count as a good use of time. Now, when the boys were smaller, I needed to get out of the house most days just to keep everyone sane. And I made that easier on myself by picking one park and going back to it again and again, rather than trying to find somewhere new each time. Everyone knew that's just where we went. There was no researching a new playground, no deciding on the spot, just a familiar place we could show up to without thinking about it. And for as long as we could manage, we also kept all 3 boys' activities on the same day of the week, rather than spread that across different days, which meant the rest of the week stayed clear, and I always knew exactly which day had what. Things are a little bit trickier now. They're a bit older and their interests have properly gone in different directions. So it's not always as tidy a system as it used to be. And I don't have a neat fix for that one yet. We're just working it out as we go, the way most of this stuff seems to go once kids get older. Another shift is getting comfortable saying no to things that sound good in theory but would tip an already full week over the edge. And where you can you batch kind of errands and admin stuff into one block instead of letting them bleed into every day so the rest of the week has some breathing room? Now, I'm protective of my own time too, so I have fitness classes and a running plan, and I schedule those on the days the boys don't have activities so that I'm not running from one thing to the next to the next to the next, trying to squeeze myself in around everyone else. Okay, so the second part of this is stuff. And this one goes beyond just the kids' toys. It's the clothes-filling drawers you have to wrestle shut. The kitchen drawer with 3 garlic crushers because you can never find the one you already own. Not just me? Clutter is quietly exhausting, partly because more stuff means more decisions, and more decisions mean more mental load for you and for them. It's worth thinking about it from the kids' side too, not just ours. A room with too many toys out is genuinely harder for a child to tidy. There's simply more to sort and more decisions about where each thing goes. So it's no wonder it doesn't happen without a fight or without us finishing it for them. Fewer toys out at any time means they can actually manage putting them away themselves, which means less of it lands back on you at the end of the day. A toy rotation where only a portion of the toys are out and the rest are stored away helps with exactly that. Tidy up gets faster. Play gets more focused, and the whole thing feels more within a child's reach to manage on their own. The same logic holds for wardrobes and honestly for the kitchen too. Going through it every few months and passing things on keeps the volume manageable without it becoming a big production. In our house, we've got 3 little wheelie bins tucked under the stairs. One for clothes to recycle, one for op shop, and one for toys to pass on. So once a bin fills up, it goes. No big sorting session needed, just a steady way of keeping things moving out of the house instead of piling up. Okay, so the third and final thing I want to talk about today is screens. Now, this deserves its own conversation more than a quick mention here, but I did want to talk about it because it does fall into the overcome the overwhelm topic. If ending screen time without a meltdown is a daily battle in your house, there's a full episode dedicated to exactly that. The warnings, the transitions, and what actually helps in the moment. And I will link to that episode in the show notes. And I'm not going to repeat it all here, but it is worth a listen if this is where your day gets hardest. Now, you don't need to tackle your schedule, your stuff, and your screens all in the same week. Pick whichever one is causing you the most friction right now and start there. Whew, I feel like I have just talked nonstop in this episode, which I guess I do in every episode, but it feels like a lot. So that's the rest of it. Connection with our children, cooperation as a family, and a bit more ease in our home and daily life. Between this episode and last week's episode, there is a lot on the table. Chores, me time, connection, family culture, schedule, stuff, and screens. Every one of those is listed in the show notes, so you don't need to hold it all in your head or scroll back through the episode trying to remember what was said. For your small shift for big impact this week, please, I invite you to just pick one from either episode from that list in the show notes, whichever resonated with you the most or felt like the easiest to actually try or gave you a sense that it might create a bit more space. Try it for a week, see how it goes, and if it doesn't land, go back to the list and pick something else. If it does work, you can build on it slowly or leave it there and try something new. A change you can actually keep up matters more than trying to overhaul everything at once. Okay, so if any of this has stirred something in you, If you found yourself nodding along thinking, I need more of this, that's what my one-on-one coaching is there for. And if you think you might need a bit more support that you can find on your own right now, please book a free discovery call and we can talk through where you're at and whether working together is the right fit. You'll find the link on my website, or you can send me an email at nina@mindfulparentinglifestyle.com.au. I'd love to hear where you're at. Thanks for listening today. Be kind to yourself this week, and I'll see you next time on your calm parenting path. Thanks for listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I am so glad you're here, and I hope this episode gave you something useful to take into your parenting journey. If you'd like to dive deeper, sign up to my mailing list at mindfulparentinglifestyle.com.au for more tips and insights, or book a free chat to learn how we can work together. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. I look forward to speaking with you next time on Your Calm Parenting Path.